Hey everybody, I'm Javier and I'm the Hardcore Herbivore. Today we're going to talk about some of the music that helped shape my worldview when it comes to animal rights. From a very early age, I was exposed to bands that actually sang about things, and they exposed me to new ideas. I wanted to explain some of the records and songs that had an impact on me and made me think about things in a different way. But first, I want to go back to the very beginning, even before hardcore, probably the album that changed everything for the entire world as far as I'm concerned. The Smiths, Meat is Murder. Everybody knows that Morrissey, he's kind of got a big mouth, and it strikes again. So Morrissey has a very special way of singing about things and putting them into lyrical form that maybe make you think about things differently. But Meat is Murder was just boom. It was in your face. It was like right there on the cover, Meat is Murder. Now, in terms of hardcore, I think the record that really changed it all was Youth of Today, We're Not in This Alone, with the song No More. No More, it's really a statement. It's like, hey everybody, we're doing this thing. We think you should check it out. Come with us. You know, who's with us? And I think a lot of people said, I'm with you. And it really started a whole movement, which then directly influenced bands like Earth Crisis, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. As far as my personal collection, I'm going to start with a record that, man, it's just so fucking sick. And that's the Abnegation Chapter Split. This came out on Plus Minus Records in 1996, and it wasn't Abnegation's first record, but I think that it was the last record before they changed forms and turned into like a weird death metal band. The first record came out in 1994, and that was Extinguish the Sickness. And I remember getting that record and just being like, whoa, what the fuck is going on? A fetus is alive? Holy shit, who knew? Then in 1995, the Ceremony of Fire compilation came out, and there's a song on there called Hopes of Harmony that seriously is like so insane, and it's got a really cool sample from Natural Born Killers.
It's just murder, man. All God's creatures do it in some form or another. I mean, you look in the forest, you got species killing other species, our species killing all species, including the forest, and we just call it industry, not murder.
But the Chapter Split, the songs on here, they're a little bit more mature. There's still some lyrical content that has to do with animal rights, especially on Behind the White Walls. And the music, it's like, you know, it's pretty Slayer based, and it's really brutal. And I probably have spun this record more times than I can count. The next record I want to talk about that's super, super important to me, and I was lucky to finally see this band this year at FYA Fest, is Day of Suffering, The Eternal Jihad. Now, I got this record originally in 1997, and I didn't know anything about the band. There's two photos in the layout, and they're kind of like, well, one of them's kind of abstract, and the other one has this like really insane picture of the bass player that he just looks like so unhinged. The lyrical content is like, it's so militant and out there, and the music is so fucking brutal, especially the song Shades of Red. The second song on the CD, I think it starts out almost more brutal than any song that I know of. It's just like punches right straight into it. Another cool thing about Day of Suffering is there's a song called Elegy, which was also the name of a South Florida band that I really had high hopes for, and seemed to kind of go away very quickly. But the demo and the promo that band put out a couple years ago were so fucking awesome. Shout out Sven, shout out Burke, shout out South Florida Hardcore. What list of influential vegan records could be complete without Green Rage, Disinfect? Now, I tell people all the time that this is actually my favorite 7-inch of all time. It might be true, it might not, but I think it's a fucking cool thing to say anyway. This record, it's so ridiculous, it's so simple, it's insane, and there's like so many weird things about it, and it kind of is almost has like a mythical status as far as I'm concerned. First of all, this is not the first cover. The first cover came out when it was released on Reflection Records, which also put out a couple of cool records like Counterpunch, which was from Arizona, and Framework, which has like literally one of the most like interesting covers that you can imagine. But this cover and then the cover with the Slaughterhouse after it came out on Very Distro. Very Distribution was a place in the 90s where you could order records, tapes, CDs, stickers, stuff like that. And I don't know how it came to be that this record was to be put out twice on Very Distro, especially with two different covers, two different colors, but there it is. Also worthy of note that I made up an urban legend about Green Rage, that the guitar player only had one hand. He only had his right hand, and that's why he could play chugs so well. All right, I have a list of just songs that also influenced me or that I thought were cool, and I'm gonna make a Spotify playlist and put that in the description of the video. So let me tell you about a few songs that are important to me when it comes to animal rights. When I was really young, first going to hardcore, like 15, 16 years old in Southern California, I thought Outspoken was like the biggest band imaginable. You know, the singer had a cordless mic, which I thought was like, wow. And they had records out, and they had this presence around them that was different from anything else for me at the time that I had experienced. And then I really started reading the lyric sheets and collecting the records. Survival, of course, is like an all-time favorite song of mine to sing along to. But the song that I think is really important is Daydream, which was on the album A Light in the Dark and also on the cassette promo. I also had the awesome opportunity of seeing Undertow for the first time in 1993, and they were so fucking powerful at the time too. And they had a song called Instinct, which is on At Both Ends, and it's also on the Stalemate 7-inch. And it talks about like thinking back to how you used to be and how you used to be so callous and cruel and blind, and then you had a revelation and you stopped eating animals. And I think that that's super important to recognize. There's a song on this Torn Apart 7-inch called Defenseless, and you kind of just have to hear it. Like, it's weird and cool, and he talks, and like, man, it's awesome.
Prosecuted, sentenced to death by some appointed judge. While society looks on through eyes, conditioned to see the slaughter as a part of human survival, nothing more. By blocking arms, simply not being aware of the pain, murder and torture being conducted beyond the walls of slaughterhouses. We continue to support the mindless execution of innocent animals. That's a decision that isn't ours to make!
Yo, why don't I cut off your head and we'll call it negative reinforcement? If that's how you treat an animal, you deserve even worse. Shout out to Chris Callahan, Andy Hurley, and Sect. But Left for Dead, man, this record is so fucking pissed. It was so influential on me, and that song, Skin Graft, man, you just gotta hear it. A really interesting take on animal rights is from Born Against on the song Wearing a Lampshade. And I quote this song all the time ever since like MySpace, and you know, I just think it's super important. He says, "I'm tired of being the threat in a world of murderers, shit on, just for giving a shit about a bunch of rats." Another song is by a band that I've always had a really heavy interest in, but in the past few years it's come to mean a lot more to me, and that's Killer of the Soul on 108's album Threefold Misery. I plan on doing another video in the future about the connection between Krishna consciousness and not eating animals, but for now, I just want to let you know that Killer of the Soul is a killer jam. And of course, one of the songs that is super influential, I even used it in the title sequence of the Hardcore Herbivore YouTube channel, Integrity, Live It Down. Shout out to my dude, Dwid Hellion. One of the things that was super, super influential to me was reading the lyric sheets on all of these records, like reading the words, thanks lists, learning about the different organizations out there that help animals, reading zines in the 90s. It really is just more than music. And to me, the most important record when it comes to animal rights and veganism is, it's so important to me that I own it on multiple formats, and that's Earth Crisis, Destroy the Machines. I actually have a really funny story about the Destroy the Machines CD. There's a record store in Huntington Beach, California called Vinyl Solution. And me and my friend Josh Yakis went to Vinyl Solution the week that Destroy the Machines came out. And we waited at the fucking record store for the UPS truck to come. And the guy opened the box of CDs and sold it to us right away. And I still have that fucking CD right here in my hands. And I am a firm believer that this was the first Destroy the Machines CD ever sold in Orange County, California. And it's mine. All right, look, it's worthy of note that I'm super influenced by Finn McKenty and the punk rock MBA. But to be fair, I talk to the dude every day. The dude went to my wedding. I went to his wedding. Me and my family sit around and watch his videos. Like, the guy's just super important to me, and I think that the content that he puts out is amazing. So when I was starting to do this YouTube channel, I asked him, like, hey, I asked him for help. I asked him for some instruction, and he was glad to help. He did a video about Earth Crisis and the rise of vegan straight edge, and I think that that's a super important video to watch. I'm also going to put that in the links below. Check it out, because he said some stuff that I'm not really going to cover in depth. But a little bit of shinfo for you. I listened to the Holy Mountain podcast that interviews Scott from Earth Crisis, and he talked about a record by a band called Believer. I'd never heard of it, and I thought it was super interesting, and I just happened to be in Tucson, Arizona at a place called Bookman's, and I found this cassette, and so I bought it, and it's fucking insane, dude. Like, you put this on and it seriously sounds like Destroy the Machines mixed with a little bit of Starkweather and the dude from Bloodlet singing. And I know that's gonna like make a few people be like, yeah, I want to listen to that. And it's also very, very interesting to note that Jim Winters, who was in Turmoil and Conviction, he also played on this record, and it's a Christian metal record. But it seriously sounds a lot like Destroy the Machines, and if you listen to it, you can hear the influence. For my final thought, I want to leave you with something that's kind of weird and cool, I guess. There's been a few times where I've gone to see Earth Crisis, and I may or may not have worn a ski mask, or as they say in other countries, a balaclava. But I think that it might be kind of a cool and fun thing in the future if you go to an Earth Crisis show, when they play the song Wrath of Sanity, you just happen to pull one of these out of the pocket of your cargo pants, or from, you roll it down from your beanie, and you put that on and you sing those lyrics, and you think about the brave people who have put their life on the line to do direct action for the animals from the Animal Liberation Front. I think that it would be a great way to show solidarity, and it would look fucking awesome if you were to look out into the crowd and see like a bunch of kids losing their minds singing along to Wrath of Sanity. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to check out my Spotify playlist with some of the songs that I talked about today, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.